Hello. Well, today I am going to be doing a makeup tutorial and showing you some of the techniques that I've adopted along the way. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the products that I'm going to be using. And the showstopper for today is going to be this eye palette. It's the Emerald collection, Profusion's Emeralds collection. And I got this at Walmart. It has beautiful colors. They blend so well and you get a lot of color payout for it. And I want to say I spent $5 for it. And as you can tell, it's been well loved. So let's go ahead and get started. So I start with a prepped face and I've got my sunblock on, so I'm ready to go. I like to start with my eyes so that in case there's any fallout or whatever, I can clean it up along the way. So what I'm going to be starting off with is this Milani eyeshadow primer. And this is the first primer I ever started using. And so I can't really compare it to others, but I bought this and I think, it started looking, like I was going to be running out of it soon. So I went ahead and bought another tube because I liked it. I mean, my eyeshadow does not budge at all. And so I bought another one for a backup, and I think I still had another 6 months or so of life out of this. So even though they're kind of small, they last forever. So after applying this, you can see that there's not a lot of coverage. It doesn't, a lot of times you'll see them adding their eye primer and it comes out looking white. This does not do that. So I don't really mind that, obviously, because I'm still using this. But the one thing that I do like to do is either use a powder or just a light base color to kind of go over all of my eyelid. And that way it's just starting off kind of fresh. It's giving, the light where I want it to be. So I go ahead and do that prior to then starting to add the color. So now we're on and we're ready for the colors. Now in this palette, I am going to be starting off with the russet color as my transition. So let me get my brush. And I just kind of work it in there. And like I say, this is super smooth. I love how easily they are to blend. And these are going to be some fun colors because this is a very neutral color. I mean, you could use it with anything. But the eyeshadow colors I'm going to be using are a lot of fun. They're yellows and this beautiful apple green color. And then the crease color I'm going to be using is going to be very dramatic. It's going to be this color, which is called Galaxy. And then I go in with the lightest color, which is Gilded. And the way I do it is just use my fingers. And so I add it in this corner. And then if I get some on the inner corner, that's fine. Or if I get fallout, like I say, I clean it up anyways. And then the next color I'm going to be using is Burst. And I just kind of extend it a little, overlapping on the first color and then dragging it across. And then the next color I'm going to be using is this green, which is called Harlequin. And I just continue overlapping and then dragging it across. And then now I've got a dirty finger, but that's okay. My hands get dirty in this process, that's for sure. So now what I'm going to do is use a brush like this, a bullet tip brush for the crease. And so, like I said, I'm going to be using Galaxy. And I tap that in here. And I just, right on that corner and a little bit in like this, creating somewhat of a V. So right at the corner, and then pulling it, dragging it kind of inward just a bit. Oh, I go with the mouth. I have a problem with opening my mouth funny when I put my makeup on. All right. Then I take just a nice blending brush to really try and blend that in. The important thing is really to blend your, especially this dark color, is getting it kind of smoothed out. And so this, I kind of just drag the whatever's left with a clean brush, and it just kind of helps smooth it over. And then I go back to my transition color and the same brush that I used for the transition shade, and really just blend those together. And you kind of just make little swirls. And the next thing, I use an angled brush, and all I do is use a black eyeshadow for this, and I line the eyes, and I basically go about a little over halfway. I don't use this on the whole eye, you know, lining the whole eye. But by using this eyeshadow, it gives it a much softer look. And then I kind of flip it up and line, giving it a little bit of a cat eye, and then just dragging it a little bit there. So you're getting a lot of intensity at that corner eye, the corner of the eye. So this is a little bit more of a dramatic look. Then I use this CoverGirl eyeliner, and this one's in brown. And I like this one because it has just such a nice fine tip. So I can then line my eye really closely along there and just add a little added depth. This step really isn't necessary. That, you know, what I did with the eyeshadow would be plenty, but I'm going to be adding my false eyelashes, and so I do like to have the whole thing lined, but very, very lightly on the inner part of my eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop on my eyelashes, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I've got my eyelashes on. I went ahead and did the other eye. So the next step is adding a face primer. And so what I've been using, it's the summer months, and for me, my skin gets a lot oilier during that time, and I'm not complaining, but literally it's an oil slick by the end of the day, and even by the middle of the day. So I like to use a primer, and this is the Stay Matte primer by Rimmel, and it really does help mattify my my face so that I kind of keep it a little bit at bay. It still does, I do get very glowy, but I'm okay with that. So I just add it basically all over, you know, my face, because I really do get oily everywhere. Once the fall starts, that's when I really notice that I start getting a little bit drier skin, and have to switch things up just a little bit. But for now, this is what I'm using. All right. And then the next thing is the under eyes. Now, I bought this. It's Dermacol. It's actually a very high coverage makeup. And when I got it, it was just way too light. And so I thought, let me try this on my under eyes, because when you get older, you really want to use less product, because the more you put on, the more it just settles into creases and lines and all that sort of thing. So I know that there's eye concealers, then there's eye brighteners, there's all this stuff. Well, this one is doing both for me. So let me show you just how little. I mean, I use this much, and that literally, I'll show you how much it covers because it's crazy. So I start for my under eyes. You kind of want to be strategic with this. So what I do, and I've got a lot on my brush, so I kind of just tap where I want it and then start blending and whatever. So here you want to get up and right into that corner, and I've got my eye bag right there, so I kind of go underneath that on both sides. I've got quite the age spot right there, so I like to cover that up. But as you see, I'm not going like right directly under my eye. And then I go in here, let me get more on my brush, along that shadow, kind of along it and underneath. There goes the mouth again. And I just blend and blend and blend in, as well as I like to highlight this area. So it's just kind of taking off more product from my brush as I kind of go along. And then I like to get this area. My chin has lots of red, and it's just, but I don't, and then right here I try to get out, you know, under my my little marionette line, try to brighten that up right there. But less product is more when you get to be my age. So as you can see, I blended it. The next step is I go ahead and just start patting it in with my finger. Pressing it in, okay? Oh, my mouth. I'm gonna try and learn not to open my mouth like that. It looks like I'm trying to catch flies or something. And then I just kind of blend up here and blend here. So at this point, I'm going to let everything just set as far as my under eyes. I want things to kind of settle in, the concealer to settle in, and then I'll go back to that. The next step is going to be my foundation. And I'm not one of those gals that tries all the different new foundations that are out there. I basically, if I like something, I kind of stick with it. And yes, I still have quite a few different foundations, and I'm trying to get away from that. I'm trying to get where I've got my ones that I want, because I end up really wasting my products because they do have a shelf life. I mean, you can't keep them forever. So this one is from Wet n Wild. It's the Photo Focus, and I love it. And I seriously think I maybe spent $5 on it at Walmart. And this one is a matte finish, but I don't think it's really, it doesn't come out that matte on me. So it still has a real satiny finish. It's not super dry or anything like that. So what I do, it comes with a little spatula like that, and then I just wipe it on the back of my clean hand. And the reason I do that, and I kind of spread it around a little bit. With foundation, just like concealer, less is more. So I spread it around like that, and then I take my, this is actually it's Heavenly Luxe brush. sound so fancy. And I kind of go around like this and get it all over the brush. And then what I just do is go and just press it in all around, focusing more on, well, I can't even say focusing more on one area than the other. I think on the tops right here for me is where I notice a lot more age spots and things that you're kind of wanting to conceal. But basically you just, with the brush, I'm just getting the product on my face and very evenly and very thin. And you just kind of go right up to, you know, where I have my eye concealer. You don't go ahead and add more underneath there. You really don't need it, but you do want it to blend. So then I have a very, very fine layer of it. But then I go with a damp blending brush and just kind of go all the way around. And just what this is doing is blending it even further, but it's also picking up any extra. You know, I have my nose ring, and so I have to kind of get around there and make sure that there's nothing kind of, you know, building up there. My lines here, especially since I've had concealer, you want to make sure that that there's no extra just to settle into your lines. I've got these insane frown lines that I have to really make sure there's not that much product on there as well. Back to the under eye, what I do is then just pat very gently again with my finger, making sure to lift off anything that might have settled in there. All right, now at this point I do use a setting powder, and I love this. It's Bye Bye Pores. And this I use all over my face, but then to set, you know, set my handiwork. So you really want to kind of, you know, put it on there, but then brush any extra off. Then I go ahead and powder my whole face. I know some people, you know, if you can get away with not powdering, or if you don't like it, great. Me, I kind of need it. Like I say, my skin is very oily, and it just helps me kind of keep things in place a little bit better. I use the Butter Bronzer. This is the sculpting bronzer. And this I use for basically as a bronzer as well as contour. So I get a little bit in and kind of dust off so that you're not getting too much on. But here's some more funny faces for you. But see, when I do that, you can see the line there. You kind of start off very up by this and then just dragging it. And that way you get most of it where you want it. And then I kind of just drag here. And then I, you know, blend around. And then I put it up on over my hairline. Another thing to focus on right here is where you see on me the aging process. So you just want to lightly, kind of right under the ridge, just buff that there a little bit. Sometimes I may even go along my neck. There we go. See how I got kind of a lot. So then you've got it where you want it to be the darkest, and then you just kind of use the rest of it to blend it out as much as possible. Okay. So now for the highlighter, my little trick is actually using your eyeshadow palette. This one. So yes, you can buy an individual highlighter, and I do have them. But again, I'm kind of trying to work towards having less makeup than more. And so I'm going to use the Gilded again, and then just apply it right here. I also kind of go up and around my eye, down my nose. And I do like to contour my nose, and I just use the same brush that I used as the transition shade and go along that. There we go. And now for the blush, and I am using the Milani. This is the Luminoso, and it's a very like nice peachy color. And again, very affordable. And so where I apply the blush is just kind of in between the highlighter and the contour. And I just pat it right along there, and you can kind of go up towards the ear again. And for a little bit of a radiant look, I like to put it on my forehead, down my nose, and then on my chin. So now what I do is kind of do a little bit of cleanup. So if I got carried away on the blush here or there, I take the makeup brush and just kind of buff around it, making sure that we're keeping the blush and everything in its proper place. I follow that up with just another dusting of some powder. And of course, like I say, this could be optional if you're not needing the powder, but I just kind of finish it off. So for my eyebrows, I do have a couple of different products that I use, but for this video, I'm just going to show you that the same angled brush that I used for my eyeliner, I use for my eyebrows. Now, I know that there's a lot of questions, women who are going gray, or even when you're changing your hair color, when you start getting a lot more light or whatever. This is dipped in black eyeshadow. And like I said, I used it on my eyeliner. I am leaving with whatever's left. I'm just kind of using that to do my eyebrows, to fill in, and it's not a lot. I can get away with using this black now because, first of all, it's eyeshadow, so it's very, very soft. But my roots are still dark around my face. So whenever you're changing your hair color or you're going gray, a lot of women, if they start seeing the lighter around their face, they're like, okay, well, now what do I do about my eyebrows? Because they may be coming across too dark. So when I actually was blonde, I did lighten my eyebrows, and I kept them still as light or as dark as like whatever my roots were. That's where you want it to pretty much match, is the same depth of darkness as your roots. So, and you can get away with your eyebrows being a little bit lighter rather than the same color of your hair. Like, let's say you're completely like blonde. if your roots are a little bit deeper, that's what you want to match, is that color rather than your blonde. Same with gray hair, is if you do still have a little bit more of the pepper than the salt, you can try and use that, because then your eyebrows are still a little bit defined. Now, granted, you don't want them to be too dark, because then they might be just too stark on you. But that's kind of what I've been doing, and I just fill in the spots that I see. I'm not one who's big on the really, really heavily defined eyebrows. I like them a little bit more softer. And then I finish it off with Control Freak from NYX. And this just helps keep the eyebrows in place. It's like a gel or hairspray for your eyebrows. And I just brush them up. It helps make them look thicker and soft. I mean, it's not a real hard look at all. There we go. So I go back into my eyeshadow and the Gilded, and this is where I am going to add just a touch of highlight right there on the brow. You don't really want to highlight all the way. And because I went through and created that base right after my eyeshadow primer, that area is already kind of light. I only want to add a little bit of sparkle right at that very top. And then I also add in just right in the corner. Now, when I was putting in my eyeshadow, I did get some in there, but as we've gone and done done things, just adding a little bit more to finish it up. So when I do my under eye, lining it, I want to keep it as open as possible. So by adding dark color all the way across, it really does not look good on me at all. So what I start off with is, again, I'm going to use the transition color and just in the corner, kind of get it along that. And I go maybe to about there. And that way it's giving the eyes some definition, but it's not closing it up as much. And then on this side as well. And then I just take a brush and kind of try and smooth out so that it's blurred and not, you know, a really sharp defined line. And then the next thing I use is a bronze colored eyeliner. Maybe get it up on into the waterline a little bit, but because it's a bronze and it's really not a dark color, it doesn't close up my eye. And then I'm going to use my angled brush again. Again, I've used it on my eyeliner on the top part. I've used it in my brows. So now there's really not that much eyeshadow at all on it. But what I'll do is just tap it kind of right there in the corner. And that's it. I generally don't put mascara on my lower lashes. Okay, so I, again, because my skin has been on the oilier side, I am using the Wet n Wild Fini Matte, and this one is going to help a little bit, again, with that overly glowy look that I get. So I just finish this off with that and let that kind of seep in. You can, you know, press in with your blending brush. I am just going to be doing a nude lip today. So I just line around. Now for my top lip, even though this is really super subtle, if I lined my whole mouth, my mouth, I have what you call RBF. And I always have, even when I was young. If I just was a neutral, my mouth points down like this. So if I lined my lips completely, you're really going to see how that does that. So what I do, and let me get a little bit darker of a color for you, just so that you can see what I'm talking about. So you want to line your lips, but right here, I kind of go in like that. Not all the way to the corner. So where I stop is where I'm going to also stop, or where I'm going to meet my bottom lip. So I go like this and then darken this area up a bit. And on this side, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I hope you guys are seeing me doing this. Okay. I had to switch the way I'm filming this because usually I'm not on selfie mode, but for these, it makes it so much easier so that at least I'm seeing what you guys are seeing. So go inward like this and then darken. So then when I do my bottom lip, you'll see that for my bottom lip, I can line it all the way. Maybe throw in a little color to add some lip shape. So that way you can, well, let me, okay, so that way you can see that my top lip matches up to my bottom lip. And even though you see those lines, they're not emphasized. So then I go in with, I'm still going to use nude, even though I used a darker lip liner, and you'll see how it just blends together. But I just tap on around here, and it's lighter, you know, than the other. But by just doing dark areas and light areas, it gives the mouth a little bit more dimension. And I do have a really crooked mouth, so a lot of times I don't even wear lipstick. I just wear a balm or whatever, but there we go. All right, so there we go with that. Now, if you're using a matte or you want a little bit more sparkle, I know this one's going to dry down a little bit, and then it's fine the way it is. But if I wanted to, again, add a little bit more dimension, you would use a lighter gloss and something, maybe this doesn't have shimmer, but you could use a little bit more shimmer just to give it more of that dimension. But then I'm just going to kind of focus on the fattier parts. All right, so this is my look. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And please subscribe to my channel and like my video. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.